My name is Parth, Datar, and I'm going to talk about the four-way Rotary method. Humanity. If I ask people what humanity is, they'll probably tell me it describes the human race. Some of the more creative answers would probably tell me that it describes the qualities that make us human. I, however, disagree. In my opinion, humanity is an interaction between humans. Not just your neighbours, friends and parents, but between all humans. And one very essential part of this communication is communication. Human communication, to be specific. Now, human communication is not simply what we say, but also our actions. But some people say that this very fundamental part of life is under threat. And who's the culprit? According to them, technology. These people think that social media and private messaging is ruining the human touch, and they dream of a past where people spoke face to face and emotions were much clearer. But that is exactly what it is. It is the past. Whether we like it or not, technology is evolving, and we must learn to evolve with it. I do, however, share some of their concerns. Any search on the internet will find people treating others without basic decency. I think that the four-way Rotary method can be applied with a concept that I have created to help solve this issue. I call this concept by an acronym, ECON. Empathy and courtesy online now. The first part of ECON, empathy, is in which we realize that the other person has a point of view and we try to look it through their point of view. The second part of ECON, courtesy, is where even if we don't agree with that point of view, we decide to treat them with basic decency and respect. This, accompanied by the four-way Rotary method, I believe, can do a lot of good for human civilization. One of the basic points of the four-way Rotary method is whether what we say, think, or do is the truth. Now, there is a famous saying, don't believe everything you see on the internet. It is a bit simplistic, of course, but there is a certain bit of truth to it. We have the power to believe. Even a lie, if we don't believe the lie, then that interaction cannot occur. It is an interaction. Even online, one person cannot sustain an interaction. It is our responsibility that we take an objective look at things, not to demonize them, but we make sure that what our judgments are objective, so that we can create a better and more truthful internet. The second part of that, though this is much harder, we must learn that lying, it can be very harmful. There are some white lies that don't harm people and sometimes might even help, but we must ensure that we have the respect for others to not lie to them. Another basic rule in the four-way Rotary method is whether what we say, think, or do is fair to all concerned. Now, humans always, in the real world, they have to interact with people that they don't like. It is a basic fact of life. Except online, it's not. Online, people can cluster the people who look alike, talk alike, and think alike. People from New York don't like people from LA. Ohioans don't like Michigans. People from Maine don't like people from Massachusetts. We humans are a tribalistic bunch. But what tends to happen sometimes is we tend to demonize people in these other groups, especially if they share opposite views. Now, this is where the part of empathy comes in. We must understand that they have a point of view, even if we don't agree with it. And the second part is that we mustn't demonize them. Demonizing can cause many, many problems in that you tend to see them as just an icon. You tend to see them not as for what they are, but you tend to think of them as someone who's your enemy. That is not true. That is not fair to them, and we must ensure that we treat all with courtesy even if we don't agree with them. This ties into another point. How to build goodwills and friendship. Now, some might argue that technology is making us antisocial. We don't like to be with people. We like to stay in our own nest. I frankly, however, disagree. Making friends can be much easier online simply due to the population that uses the internet. Hundreds of millions of people use Facebook alone. With such a big web of people, it's impossible that we won't find some people that we'd like to be friends with. However, Even if we don't want to be friends with them, we must ensure that we show them certain amounts of goodwill. In that, we must ensure that courtesy is a right afforded to all. If we show courtesy and respect, we can show that we care about the other person as what they are, a breathing person. And when we start to show people that we care about them, it gets much easier to build friendships and goodwill. And lastly, a rule of the four-way method is whether what we say, think, or do will be beneficial to all. Without a doubt, econ will be beneficial to all. The web is a large group of people with unique personalities and opinions, but sometimes what happens is they unfortunately have to hide them. They have to hide them due to fear of judgment. And it is truly a shame, because our society would be so much more advanced if everyone decided to give their ideas out loud, and even if they aren't good ideas, they will help foster innovation. If we can ensure that we treat people with respect, even if they're wrong, even if they said something that's not necessarily correct, then it'll be more likely that they will share their point of view. And when they share, it will benefit society as a whole. Now, if I have to summarize everything I've just said, I'd say that no government can teach us empathy and courtesy, and no technology can take it away from us. The only way for me to be human is for you to reflect my humanity back at me. Thank you.